This is my office. I don't spend a lot of time in here. I pay the bills, maybe write out some checks or whatever. But I've got this massive record collection. I think I'm going to be getting rid of it. I've got the massive CD collection. Same. In the winter, I might get on the treadmill, work out a little bit. So going through the house here, here's my kitchen. I love to cook. I love to cook. This is where I do all my writing. This is where I do most of my drinking. And check that out. Make me an offer. Okay, here we go. There's my cigar stand. Here's my TV. My living room. Found this old console television. Ripped the tube out. And then put that stuff in there. Isn't that pretty cool? I'm just a very ingenuitive person. Okay, here's the bedroom where absolutely nothing happens. Guy, my friend Guy here. He greets people when they come over. My porch, enclosed from, oh look at there, another TV. Here's the door my mom painted. Are those cool or what? I found the door and I took it over to Mom and said, hey, will you paint pictures on that? I don't care what you paint because she's a good painter. So she did that for me. There's my Shangri-La out there. I like to sit out here, smoke cigars, drink cocktails. So what we're going to do today's video, I'm going to take a ride downtown, show you Harbor Springs, the city I live in. And right about now, I'm going to just pretty much shut my mouth and get in the car. And then I'm going to put my mouth back on over what you're going to be seeing for the next, I don't know, 17, 18, 20 minutes. There are literally thousands of videos of people living in RVs on the road. They call it the RV life. Some are couples, some are solo. This is going to be a long one, so I hope I don't bore you to death. Frankly, I don't want to rehash every moment of my life, but I want to open up to you about my future plans. So here we go. You know a little bit about me, my son, my daughter, and what some may consider a dysfunctional relationship between me and them. Well, we don't communicate. The reason? It's not really relevant. It's just the way it is. Is it because I did something wrong? Is it because they're messed up in the head? Is it because I'm messed up in the head? I have absolutely no clue, and I cannot go down that road and chew on it. I just don't have the time. So what does that mean? I just don't have the time. Am I terminal? Well, yeah, I'm terminal. We're all terminal. So that is why I find myself in the mindset that I'm in. 2 failed marriages, 1 offspring from each. My last romantic relationship ended about 7 years ago. It broke me. I'm done. It took a long time for me to understand what it means to be lonely. Finally, I came to the delusion that lonely isn't really a thing. Being lonely is not like being hungry. You can't die from being lonely, although it is a romantic notion that you can. I'm not buying into it. Being raised in a family of 6 people, 4 kids, mom and a dad, Let's see, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's 6. Even the notion of being lonely was never a thing then. When I went into a room with no one in it, I was alone. That's a thing. It's a physical thing. It's real. Being lonely is just a feeling. Getting over being lonely is a whole different situation. Why do we get lonely? Is it because we're horny? Is it because we need the company of a woman to complete us, or a man? Do we get lonely because we don't have a buddy to go fishing with, or someone to have a cigar and a snort of bourbon with? Not having a shoulder to cry on is scary. Having a comfortable place to fall when things get rough is important. Or is it? I mean, we've been taught to think that way. I've processed these notions over and over and over again. I've come to the realization that even when you do have that person in your life, sometimes they're not even there for you. You can feel lonely in a crowd of people. It seems like everyone I come in contact with has an agenda. If it's a woman, she wants something from me. She wants me to fix her car or build her a deck. Initially, I was always quick to act. I wanted to be rewarded for my efforts with love, companionship, or sex. If it's a dude, he wants me to help him move, or he wants to borrow a tool or drive him somewhere. Again, I always acted quickly because I'm of the attitude that a friend in need is a friend indeed. But when indeed I needed reciprocation, it was rarely there to be had. Eventually, I got tired of it. As they say, with friends like that, who needs enemies? After a life of giving and constantly being taken advantage of, I have little to show for it. Over the last 10 years, I've been flying pretty much solo. I went from living on a 20-acre ranch to having nothing. I'm 3 years from being 65 years old, living in a freaking mobile home park in northern Michigan. My goal is to eventually sell off most of my assets and get rid of all the crap I don't need or want and become nomadic. That was my goal. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, or even if I can. Being lonely, that's that thing that's always been in the back of my mind, but it ain't no big thing. All I know is that I have a few good years left in me and I don't want to spend it freezing my ass off in northern Michigan. Living the RV life, that's not exactly what I want to do, I don't think. So what is it that I want to do? Like I said, freezing my ass off 7 months out of the year in northern Michigan is kind of getting old. I'm also tired of living in a trailer park. As far as trailer parks go, this is a nice one. It's small. The neighbors are mostly mature. It's clean and maintained fairly well, so what's not to like? Well, I'll tell you. The management here is on a one-way trajectory when it comes to lot rent. Their goal is to increase it to the point where they price themselves out of the lower income housing realm. They, like most other businesses these days, are greed-based. In America, most businesses have gone from profit-based to greed-based. The idea is to price their products or services to a demographic where cost is not an issue. They want people with liquid assets. They want people who don't look at the denomination on their dollar bill. They want to turn this mobile home park community into an upscale, nearly exclusive gated community, but currently without the gates. They'll get them. They'll have gates here soon. For the last couple of years, I've been shopping online for used travel trailers. There are literally tons of them for sale. After the COVID boom, now used RVs and campers are being sold at an alarming rate because people discovered that they bit off more than they could chew. They thought, well, COVID's here, let's buy a camper, we'll go live off grid so we don't die from this terrible pandemic. Well, It wasn't as terrible as everybody made it out to be. The hysteria is wearing off and people are selling out. I kind of saw that coming, and I'm glad that I'm still shopping. I'm glad that I didn't go out and buy one. However, I did go to the local RV dealer yesterday just to look at some of the future used trailers that will be on the market soon. While touring several of them, I was able to learn more about what I wanted in an RV and what I might actually do with one if and when I get one. Trying to be honest with myself here, living the RV life is not really something I want to do. I don't really want to be a nomad. So what the hell am I doing? What have I been talking about? Let's look at my big picture. I'm still processing here, bear with me. So, after high school, I moved out of mom and dad's home and into my girlfriend's parents' home. That lasted maybe a year before we broke up. Then I began renting apartments and small homes. I was of the mindset that I wanted the white picket fence and the kid in the yard with the cat and the dog. Well, the next girl of my dreams popped up, among other things, and soon we were with child. It took about a year for that relationship to fail, and I was left to raise a little girl pretty much on my own. And I didn't mind. I loved that little girl. I kept renting houses and looking for the next woman who was going to ruin my life. And of course, I found her too. We ended up married and eventually with a child again. We bought a home and played house for too many years. This one was a doozy. She ended up checking off nearly all of the boxes: embezzler, cheater, liar, materialistic, greedy, and a few other things I'm not going to mention here. Her father was always present. He didn't know his place. He never missed a meal at our dinner table. He basically moved in and ruined our life, my life, our family, our marriage, and then divorced. I went back to renting and living on my own. It took many years to find my footing as a twice divorced man. I was able to find yet another ex-girlfriend. Well, she was a girlfriend and then she became my ex. That lasted for about 4 years on and off. Over the last 6, 7 years, I've been able to discover that apparently I do not play well with others. Go figure. I gave up on the idea of having that person in my life, that soft place to fall, a shoulder to cry on. Come to find out, it was never there in the first place. And come to find out, I never really needed it. I was going to cry either way. So now what? What is my direction? What the hell am I doing with this life? We spend a lot of time making plans for what it is we think we want to do with our lives. John Lennon was quoted as saying, "Life is what happens to you when you are busy making other plans." This was a lyric on his final album in a song called Beautiful Boy, a reference to his son Sean. Ironically, this line is so completely relevant to its meaning because shortly after the album was released, Mr. Lennon was shot to death in front of his home. You can make all the plans you want, but life is only going to let you have what it wants you to have. I cannot afford a house. I can't afford a piece of land, the taxes, the utilities, the maintenance. I don't want to live with neighbors on top of me. Owning a piece of land is a ridiculous concept. In many places, you can own land, but you don't own the mineral rights to it. Or, if you want to live on it, you must have a septic tank and utilities. And you can only build certain types of structures. Or you cannot even have a pickup truck in your driveway or a boat in your backyard. That's just a small part of the absurdity. How about the fact that it's a piece of dirt on the planet Earth? Is that absurd enough for you? The federal government developed the concept of owning terra firma, so it makes sense that it doesn't make sense. Who the hell owned the land in the first place? I don't think anybody did. When are they going to start selling portions of the ocean? Contributing to the big machine is something I've grown tired of. All of my life, every time I held a job, the state and federal government has had their hands in my pockets, taking money from my paycheck. While doing so, the same government allows employers to pay employees as little as legally possible. I never got a college degree or a high-paying job so I could work my life away and buy things that I don't have time to use. And by the time I can, I'm too old to actually use them. Are we living or are we making plans? The things some people find important is just mind-boggling to me. Look, if I'm not having fun, what's the point? So here's the facts. Here's my facts. I don't want to live in a trailer park. I don't want to live in northern Michigan year-round. I'd like to see other parts of this great country. I don't have financial liquidity. I don't want a partner that lies and cheats. I want to make money doing something I love. I want to be an asset to humankind. I want to go kayaking and fishing. I want to drink cheap wine and smoke cigars. I want to eat healthy foods. And I want to screw about twice a week. Is that asking for too much? In my life, I have experienced so much. I've done so much. I don't know if it's a guy thing or what, but at one point or another, a guy likes to take inventory of things. Maybe all of the women he's had his way with. Some of us try to make a list of all the jobs or all of the concerts we've been to. Once I made a trip to every home I ever lived in and did a chronological picture book of them. Why? I don't know. I guess basically we like to take inventory. I suppose this validates our existence. I met her, I met him, I seen this, I seen that. These are proverbial notches in our belt of experience that we like to keep track of. I met a Vietnam vet once who told me that he kept track of his kills by cutting off their ear and sliding it over the antenna of his Jeep. Some people collect boogers. So we like to plan for the future. We like to have a record of the past, a legacy. The bigger the headstone, the more successful we were, I guess. I tried to list the jobs in the past that I've held, but there are too many to mention. I was a Pinkerton. I collected blood for the Red Cross. I was a radio personality. I was an entertainer, a singer, a comedian, a drug dealer. I even worked for Budweiser. Let's not get into the prostitution thing. Look, I've lived and learned, and I'm still living and still learning. This wanderlust that is stirring inside of me, it's swirling so fast that I can't even pinpoint what it is. I want to stay. I want to leave. I want to live more of my life and see more of the things which are unseen and sing more songs that are unsung. I want to let go of some of my most coveted worldly possessions just to see how much of it really matters. Living the RV life is like existing in a classification of people who are making it a trend. I don't want to exist within a trend. Living in an RV can be a thing without having to join the ranks of people doing the same thing. I don't want to belong to their club. I don't want to belong. I don't belong. We don't belong. You gather in clusters and wear your lifestyle choices like a badge. Whether you live in a high-rise or a gated community, whether you live in a condo in Beverly Hills or some oceanfront property next to billionaires, you are all birds of a feather. I, on the other hand, have nothing to prove. I don't want to be like the Joneses. The ideal situation for me would be a small piece of secluded land, one in the north and one in the south. I'd like to escape the long winters and explore some of the rivers and lakes with my kayak down south. There is one thing that is painfully true. I'm looking at a pretty short window of opportunity here. This little pipe dream of mine will be short-lived if it comes true at all. I have an expiration date, and it's looming, and there's nothing I can do about it. On a headstone, there are 2 dates and a dash between them. They say the only thing that really matters is the dash. This is Dr. Kayak saying so long for now. Please subscribe to my channel. It'll help me out. And it'll make you feel good for helping someone else out that you don't even know. But hey, stay tuned and you'll get to know me better. I'd love to get to know you too. Please drop me a line in the comments and tell me a little bit about you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, my friend.